So my name is Denise Stephens, and I am a professor here at BYU in physics and astronomy. My specialty is the study of brown dwarf atmospheres and looking for extrasolar planets, or planets around other stars.
And I'm Aaron Eastley in the English department. I typically teach 20th century British and international literatures. And I do research on the Caribbean, on Africa, India. I'm currently working on a biography of a Welsh poet. Our class is called Transcendent Skies, Astronomy and Literature, and it combines astronomy and literature, so there's a physical science GE that you get with that, as well as the letters GE.
Okay, and Dr. Richard, maybe tell us, why do you love teaching honors classes, or what have you noticed about honors classes that makes you want to be an honors faculty?
So what I love about honors classes is we get to combine 2 or 3 different ideas. So we bring in astronomy, and we bring in some literature, and we get to see how astronomy's influenced literature, and maybe a little bit of how literature influences our view of the heavens. And so the back and forth play that you get in honors classes of different disciplines is something you don't usually get in a normal GE class that's just focused on one area, like physical science.
And what do you love about honors students or the honors class too?
Yeah, I feel absolutely the same. I learned so much, and it's really interesting and exciting to take something that I know a little bit about, but then put it next to something that I know very little about, and in conversation discover a lot of new things. So in the first unit of our course, I'm talking about the origins of language. I'm talking about how texts have meaning. I'm talking about the ways that the heavens, stars, and planets and things have been used in literature as symbols for time out of mind, but most often as symbols of things that are permanent, that are unchanging, that were created by God and have never altered since. And once we get into the history of astronomy, then all of that becomes much more interesting and complicated.
Okay, and tell me, on the astronomy side, maybe what are some unique assignments to this class that you wouldn't maybe get in a typical GE?
So one of the most exciting parts of this class is we actually meet some of the times in the planetarium where we are right now. And so they get to see the night sky. We can actually move the sky in real time. We can go back in time. We can go forward in time. They can see what the heavens were like for the ancient astronomers. We also have observing projects where they can look through the telescope. We hope to maybe have a field trip again in the future when COVID-19 is gone. We can go out to a dark sky site and see the Milky Way and the stars and see the heavens the way ancient civilizations saw the heavens, because they had a greater reverence, I believe, for the heavens, because when they went out at night, they saw everything. There was no light pollution, and hopefully maybe an appreciation for what the night sky meant to them. Both ancient and modern astronomers have a real reverence for the night sky, because we see the sky as it really is, and they'll get that opportunity as they also learn about planets around other stars and galaxies and the expanding universe, and we'll cover all of astronomy.
Sounds fun. Okay, and then on the literature side, what kind of assignments do they get to read or watch or do?
We do fun stuff. That maybe my favorite crossover assignment in the first part of our class is one where we've talked a lot about Galileo, and we look at his predicament. The things that he's seen don't match up with the things that were widely believed, even doctrinal. And so that's an assignment that we have, a writing assignment. Write about that. What do you do in that kind of a situation? And at the end of that first unit, we spent some time with Tennyson's long poem In Memoriam. Tennyson realized he was one of the first really important writers that understood that the heavens are changing all the time, and to him that connected with all kinds of feelings of death and discouragement. But he came to realize that actually amidst all that change, there was even greater reason to believe in God and in Christ. And I guess on the literature side also, I really love the second part of our course where we go out and we look at the immensity of the universe. We look at all the things we know about the universe right now and realize how much of what's out there we really can't see. And on the literature side, I connect that to the ways that literature influences us or can influence us without us really even understanding what's going on. And so we read one of the Chronicles of Narnia. C.S. Lewis believed that kind of literary influence was something that was happening all the time, and he very deliberately built some important virtues into each one of the Chronicles of Narnia. So we read The Voyage of the Dawn Treader and talk about the virtues that he built into that text. We also read Michael Ward's book, who's a Lewis scholar, that talks about the whole set, all the Chronicles of Narnia, and how they are trying to influence us in subconscious ways.
Okay. What would you say to a student who might be a little nervous to take this honors class? Maybe they're not a literary person or an astronomer off the bat. Do you think they could just jump right in?
I think they could jump right in. I noticed actually in our last time we taught this class that a lot of the students were more literary. They were some of them had good science backgrounds, but many of them were very literary, and it was a little bit intimidating at first. But they jumped in, they did the science projects, and there's enough mix in the class of students who come from both backgrounds that as they work together, I think you'll find people that you can work with that will help you understand, they're special, you understand they're special. The really sciencey type kids help the ones that are more literary. The literary help those that are more science. And I don't be afraid, because you'll be working with groups and you'll have other students you can interact with. And things that might seem intimidating to you, as you get into it day to day, it's so fascinating to talk about these ideas, especially when we bring in Copernican astronomy, and then C.S. Lewis loved Copernican astronomy, and then at the end of the semester we'll talk about the Copernican principle, and it kind of wraps things back up. And so I think as you get into the class, just the subject material, you'll fall in love with it, and you'll just be drawn into it. Things that seem hard or intimidating are going to be so worthwhile to do.